Last time we walked through the System tab, setting up your memory, GPU, and storage to get Resolve running as smoothly as possible. Today we're still in Preferences, but we're moving on to something that directly affects your input and output, the Video and Audio I/O section. The first section we're looking at is Video I/O. This section requires Blackmagic hardware such as DeckLink and UltraStudio, which handles capture and monitoring. If you're not using any Blackmagic hardware, you can leave this section to none. Although consumer capture cards might show up, they aren't officially supported, so functionality isn't guaranteed. And next is Monitor Device, and this is where you choose a Blackmagic output for your external reference display. If nothing is connected, or you leave it on none, external video is off and you'll just see playback in Resolve's viewers on your computer screen. Below this is a checkbox called Release Video Device when not in focus. Basically, this controls what happens to your external monitor when you switch away from Resolve. If you turn it on, Resolve will let go of that monitor whenever you open another app, so something else can use it. If you leave it off, Resolve will keep control of your external monitor all the time, even if you're working in another app. That way, your reference display stays active in the background. Next is the Audio I/O section. At the top of this section, you'll see the I/O engine choices. There are 3 sections to choose from. System Audio, which uses your Mac's normal routing, Desktop Video if you're running Blackmagic playback hardware, and Fairlight Audio Accelerator, which is only good if you've got that particular PC card installed. When using a Mac, System Audio is the best default. It uses your Mac's built-in core audio devices. Next, we've got buffer size, and this controls the balance between latency and stability. So a lower buffer size will reduce delay, and a higher buffer size will do the opposite. It'll add a bit more delay, but make the playback more stable. Latency simply means delay, the time between your action and hearing the result. Think of it like sending a text. When you hit send, it doesn't reach your friend instantly. It travels through the network first. Same idea here. The smaller the latency, the more real-time it feels. For most beginners, just leave the playback buffer size on auto and keep record buffer size around 5. It's a solid starting point that keeps things smooth. If you're recording voiceovers, try lowering the buffer to 128 to 256. But if you start hearing glitches or dropouts, just bump it back up. And if you're mixing big projects with lots of effects, try increasing the playback buffers to 124 and above for maximum stability. Just keep in mind these buffer size values are best practice guidelines and not strict rules. If you start hearing clicks, pops, or dropouts, your buffer is probably set too low. Try increasing it for smoother playback. On the other hand, if your audio feels laggy or delayed, you can lower the buffer size to reduce latency. And next we come to input and output settings. These control where Resolve sends and receives your audio. By default, both are set to use system settings, which means Resolve just follows whatever your Mac is already using. So if your computer speakers and built-in mic are working fine, you can leave this exactly as it is. That's the simplest setup for most people. But if you have an external audio interface like the one I'm using here, the Universal Audio Volt 2, you'll want to choose that device manually from these drop-down menus. In this case, you'll want to set the Volt 2 as both the input device and the output device. That tells Resolve to record through your Volt and play back through its outputs or headphones instead of your built-in system audio. Just below that, you'll see a checkbox for automatic speaker configuration. When this is turned on, Resolve automatically matches your output channels to whatever your operating system is using, usually simple stereo, left and right. For most setups, especially if you're using your computer speakers, headphones, or a simple audio interface like the Volt 2, you'll want to leave this turned on. It keeps everything lined up automatically. If you prefer custom routing, you can uncheck this box and configure your outputs manually in Fairlight. The next section is Monitor System External Inputs. And under that section, you'll see external monitor source. This option is mainly used in studio or broadcast setups, but here's the simple idea. It tells Resolve where the video signal for your external monitor is coming from. If you're using professional hardware like a DeckLink or UltraStudio, Resolve can send or receive video through either SDI or HDMI connections. So what is SDI? SDI, or Serial Digital Interface, is the professional standard used in broadcast environments. It uses a BNC locking connector and can run long distances without losing signal quality. Perfect for studio wiring and live production setups. And here's an interesting fact about the BNC connector, which stands for Bayonet Neal Consolman. It was invented in the late 1940s by Paul Neal and Carl Consolman and is still in use today. And the bayonet in the name comes from the twist and lock coupling mechanism, just like how a bayonet locks into a rifle. Despite being over 75 years old, the BNC connectors are still common in video, radio, and test equipment, which says a lot about how well designed they are. And then we have HDMI, or High Definition Multimedia Interface. This is what you'll find on TVs, monitors, and most consumer cameras. It carries both video and audio over a single cable, which makes it convenient but less rugged than SDI. In a professional environment, the external monitor source setting lets you monitor a live feed from another source, like a camera, router, or switcher, instead of just the playback from your timeline. But if you're editing, grading, or mixing on a standard workstation, you can simply leave this set to none, and Resolve will automatically use your timeline output for external monitoring. And at the bottom of this section, you'll see Immersive Audio. This lets Resolve work with 3D or spatial sound formats like Dolby Atmos and Ambisonics used in film and VR. If you're just starting out, you don't need to touch this yet. Stereo sound already works automatically, but it's good to know it's here for when you're ready to explore surround or spatial audio later on. In the next video, we'll be moving on to audio and video plugins, as well as the control panel on the System tabs menu in Preferences. Be sure to hit the like button and drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.